Hey, good afternoon. This is Tyler Franklin with Axis Seed. I hope you and your families are doing well. It's February 8th, 2019. This time of year, a lot of farmers are starting to make preparations for the upcoming cropping season. And I want to take a little bit of time today to talk about some management factors that we can control and how to best utilize them to set ourselves up for the most yield potential on our farm, ultimately the most profits, and hopefully a lot of these things don't cost you a whole lot of money. The 2018 season saw challenges from planting all the way through summer and all the way through harvest. And I know 2019 is going to offer challenges as well. I just hope it's not as many, but we need to prepare and make sure that we are set up for the highest chance of success, even if a lot of these unfavorable conditions do occur. So the first thing that I want you to think about is there are really 5 factors that you need to focus on. These 5 management factors are things that you can control, and that no matter what Mother Nature throws at us this coming season will set your operation up for the highest chance of success. So the first one is soil conditions at planting. We can take the very best variety with the very best seed quality and plant it into poor conditions, and we have done the absolute worst thing that we can do to that genetic potential. Soil conditions at planting is made up of moisture, temperature, a lot of different factors go into that, and that's one thing that you can control that doesn't necessarily cost you any more money. And so by waiting an extra week or 2 weeks or waiting for the moisture to get right doesn't necessarily cost any extra, but it does set you up for a higher yield potential, which means more profit because it doesn't cost you anymore. So number 1 is soil conditions at planting. Number 2 is seed placement. How deep it is, putting it into moisture, closing your seed trench, making sure that the fodder is not pinched in there. All these things go into your seed placement. One thing that I've run into all across Virginia, I mentioned this before, is seed isn't planted at the right depth. I'm not as concerned about soybeans. I want to make sure soybeans are planted into moisture. If your soybean moisture is over 2 inches deep, I'll probably stop planting and wait for that moisture to get right. But corn, for optimum root structure and plant growth, needs to be planted at 2 inches deep. If you don't plant at 2 inches deep, you're losing yield potential and setting yourself up for lodging potential going forward. This is an adjustment you can make in the season. Seed placement. You want to make sure that your coulters are cutting through the fodder and not just pinching it, pushing it in the ground. You want to make sure that your closing wheels are closing your trench properly. All these things are adjustments. They don't cost you any extra, but if done properly, these things set you up for a higher yield potential and ultimately, again, more profit. So soil conditions at planting, seed placement, you do those 2 things right, they don't cost you any extra, but they do set you up for higher yields. Seed quality is the third thing. There's a lot of variability in seed quality. You're going to see a lot of issues with seed this coming year. There's a lot of seed in the Midwest. There's a lot of seed coming from the North Carolina and Mid-Atlantic region that has poor quality. There's going to be a lot of 80% germ seed, soybean seed in the marketplace this year. Compare a soybean variety that's germed at 80% to a variety that's germed at 90%. One bag, you're getting an extra 14,000 seed. That adds up quickly. So seed quality is almost as important as genetics. If you start off with poor quality, you're starting off on the wrong foot. This is something that we can control. Even though your products are going to vary a little bit from company to brand and pricing, it's relatively similar, but your yield potential is going to be higher with higher quality seed. So soil conditions at planting is number 1, seed placement is number 2, and seed quality is number 3. The fourth thing I want you to focus on, the variable that we can't control, no matter what Mother Nature throws at us, is putting the right product on the right acre. This is what I'm really good at. I understand my hybrids and my soybean varieties just like they were my children. I know their strengths, their weaknesses, and where they're best fit. So if a farmer allows me to sit down with them and understand their management, their challenges, their rotation, whether or not they have a dryer, they let it dry in the field, or they harvest at high moisture when it's wet, all of these factors go into putting the right product on the right farm and even further on the right acre. So I've got some jars of soil back here. This is a jar of red Cecil sandy loam from Halifax County. And this is a jar of, don't remember the name of it, but it's a loam out of Isle of Wight County near Smithfield. So it doesn't take much to see that these are completely different environments. A lot of this land in this part of the state is conventional, worked up, it'll crust in the summertime. Yield potential on corn, we need to be managing for 140, 150. 40 bushel soybeans is really good. On this land, on a good year, this particular farm, we should be managing for close to 300 bushel corn and 85 bushel beans. This is really good stuff. Product placement, the product I recommend on these two different farms is going to be completely different. So by understanding my varieties, their strengths, their weaknesses, I can best recommend the right product for the right acre. Farmers need to be looking at this too. In fact, there's so much variance in a lot of the land across the state of Virginia. You might see this type of dirt in the same field, much less on two different areas across the state of Virginia. But putting the right product on the right acre is extremely important. It's something that doesn't cost us any more money other than the variance in brands and varieties, but it's something that can set you up for a much higher yield potential and ultimately, again, more profit. So let's talk about soybeans. If I've got a farmer that's planting continuous soybeans, which we see a lot in Central Virginia and Central North Carolina, I'm gonna focus on that area. I'm gonna focus on stress tolerance first and foremost. I'd love to get an indeterminate soybean on that farm, but I'm also going to focus on nematode resistance because you're building up that nematode population by continuous soybeans. The disease pressure is going to be high on a wet year because you have continuous soybeans. Little things like that go into putting the right product on the right acre. I'd love to break that continuous soybean rotation with a year of corn, maybe every 2 or 3 years. Put a very defensive hybrid on there with a flex seer so I can lower the seeding rate. Little things like that go into putting the right product on the right acre, and it can make all the difference in the world at profitability on your farm. The fifth thing, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, is post-planting management. The worst thing that you can do is do all 4 things that I've already mentioned correctly and then walk away from the farm. Or even just scout it from the seat of your pickup. I strongly encourage you to get out in your fields. Your crop will tell you what's going on. And if you're not out there, you can't really understand what kind of yield robbing factors you've got out there. By getting in your field, and that's what I mean by post-planting management, we can avoid nutrient deficiencies before they start taking yield away from us. We can monitor insect pressure and apply an insecticide if we need to, which will protect yield. Same way with a fungicide. If we've got a really wet, humid, high yield potential environment with corn, and we also have a variety of corn that is susceptible to a certain disease, a fungicide is likely going to pay. But if you're not out in the field scouting, you may miss it, ultimately lose yield potential and profit. So if you're out there and you can manage for these yield robbing factors, it may cost you a little bit more to manage it properly, but because you're managing it properly and trying to protect that yield, hopefully it's an efficient investment and you're making more money. I've got a whole team of people that love to scout, that love to walk fields. My happy place is a corn and soybean field. If you don't have time to get in the field, it's worth getting somebody else to go out there and check for you. So I wanted to leave you with those 5 things. In a time where your margins are tight, people are confused, there's a lot of unknowns in the marketplace, these are 5 things that you can do as a manager on a corn and soybean farm that don't necessarily cost you any more inputs into your crop, but can set you up for a higher chance of success no matter what Mother Nature throws at you, and ultimately sets you up for higher profits. If I or any of my Axis Seed advisors across North Carolina and Virginia can help you in any way, please let us know. My number is 804-445-4333. You can check us out at tidewaterseed.com or give me an email at tfranklin@tidewaterseed.com. I can put you in touch with your nearest Axis Seed advisor, or I'd gladly come out and talk to you, see what your management is like, find out what your challenges are, your soils, your rotation, what your needs are, and we can come up with a very detailed cropping plan that'll set you up for the most success in 2019. We're building a business based off seed sales, but we're generally interested in helping you get better and seeing your farms prosper. If I can help in any way, let me know. Thank you.